Alright, let's settle in for Game 2 of YLTP versus TKAG. I did finish the last cast by saying that's the end of Game 2, let's move on to Game 3, but in fact that was the end of Game 1, so let's move on to Game 2. Sort of got my games mixed up there. I spent a lot of that time also criticizing Bray for leaving, and it's entirely possible that he just had to piece permanently because TPS Priceless has replaced him for this game. I don't know if he was just ringing for them and only had a limited amount of time to play and they were trying to get the game over with or what, but it appears that either one of two situations happened. Either the rest of the team was angry with him for sort of ditching him like he did, which is certainly possible, or he just had to leave and was unable to continue playing, in which case, it's certainly more understandable, although, don't start a game if you can't finish it, but maybe they figured we can get we'll try to get a quicker, easy win, and then he can leave and somebody else can replace him for Game 2. So no matter what, I think I've said my piece on that. So we'll drop it for now, or hopefully forever. Meanwhile, going into the banning phase, Greenex, Keeper of the Forest, Ophelia, and Warbeast. So once again, suicide-heavy bans. I believe these were actually the same bans as last game. Greenex, Keeper, Warbeast, all potential suicides, and then of course Keeper, Ophelia, Warbeast, all potential junglers, so suicide jungle heavy ban really is appropriate to say. As usual, I gotta mention the Warbeast isn't really a jungler, at least not considered a jungler anymore. Does tend to be running the suicide lane exclusively, although, in my opinion, if you're gonna run a Keeper jungle, then that makes just as much sense to run a Warbeast jungle, or even a Wild Soul jungle for that matter. Even Wild Soul can get a little more active than Keeper can. He doesn't jungle quite as quickly, but get him an early Alchemist Bones, and then he actually turns into a carry instead of just a team fighter and pusher like Keeper is. And actually, Wild Soul probably even pushes faster than Keeper does thanks to that Demolish from Bear. So, to be entirely honest, if we're going to see that much Keeper in the jungle, we might as well see some Wild Soul. I don't really know why that hero has died out as much as it has. Obviously, considered one of the top heroes in the game a couple of months ago, and now just completely ignored. Oh well. Moving into the picking stage here, we see Pesty Engie coming out for YLTP, so once again getting that Engineer pick. I don't think they played Pestilence last game. I don't quite remember now. But no doubt those two will be run in combination in mid, unless we see a second support here in a possible tri-lane, but the indication with that Tempest pick on the side of TKAG is that the Legion team will need to run a jungler. They may not necessarily do that, but I certainly believe they'd be at a disadvantage if they don't. So hopefully they choose to pick up a Parasite here, because that's really the only jungler left, and if they don't, it's going to be banned out immediately by TKAG. Anyway, if that does happen, of course, we should expect to see the Pesty Engie mid. That's a very strong lane, of course, with the Impale Stun setting up the KAG in the turret. Lots of kill potential, and it is very difficult to kill either the Pesty or the Engie unless you get something like a hook hero, or Engineer gets pretty far out of position. So it is going to be that Parasite for YLTP. Certainly a good pick there, really needing to run the counter jungle in order to oppose the Tempest on the side of TKAG, and pretty much solidifying that Pesty Engie mid lane, which means that TKAG can do something about that. They have a Rhapsody, so they're presumably going to be interested in running a dual mid. And they have a number of options here. Meraxis is gaining some traction as a popular hero. Would certainly pair well with Rhapsody in a very similar vein as Pestilence, of course, because he has that stomp that gives him an AoE stun. It is instead going to be a Wretched Hag, which obviously doesn't pair very well with Rhapsody because Wretched Hag is usually run as a solo laner, but does give TKAG some versatility, so they'll be able to pick up a number of different options if they want in the second picking stage, as they know that they can plug a Wretched Hag into that solo short, they can put him mid, they can put him suicide, so that doesn't really limit them very much compared to picking up a mid initiator right here. On the other side, YLTP will be able to ban out all the mid initiators, and there's that rally first of all. Bubble's actually on the side of Kindman, so that's not that surprising. They shouldn't really be looking to run him middle. Although as a suicide, he could certainly work well. Does pair quite well with Hag, and with all that magic burst damage and that good initiation, plus of course Kelp Field Bat Blast combo. Speaking of which, of course, Tempest Backblast, Tempest Ult and Backblast combo are obviously another strong pairing. Kraken, going to be the second ban here from YLTP, and I'd expect to see a third mid-initiator ban. Maybe Master of Arms, nope. So that's maybe Master of Arms, maybe Meraxis, maybe Pharaoh, maybe Gauntlet, Prisoner, or Dev, one of the hook heroes. Could be even a ranged hero like that Witch Slayer, something that would pair with Rhapsody to give them control. So we'll see in a second what they're actually going to decide to do. And it is going to be the Moon Queen, so going for the ban of a short lane hero instead. A little curious since they already have the Hag, and I do think Hag is best run in that short lane solo role. So I'm not sure that TKAG would be even interested in picking up a Hag in this situation. A Moon Queen in this situation. Nonetheless, they can't. So if they were planning a suicide Hag or a mid Hag, which of course are viable options entirely, they can no longer grab a Moon Queen for a short lane. Speaking of that, actually, Hag's a pretty solid solo laner against that mid-NG Pesty lane, just because it's going to be nearly impossible for them to kill her. Even with the KAG initiation, Turret doesn't do too much because she can just blink past it, and so if you get a KAG on top of an Impale Stone, that's usually not quite enough damage to take down a Hag, especially if she's out-leveling you, which she would be if she's running a solo. And of course, trying to initiate with Pesty's Impale Stun is more or less not going to happen. Just Hag's not going to be caught out of position that badly. So Moon Queen ban makes some sense in that situation because, of course, they could run that support Rhapsody Babysit in the top lane for MQ, have a Tempest in the jungle ready to gank, and then get some kills up there. While Hag would lose mid lane in terms of the GPM, but probably wouldn't get boxed out, and certainly shouldn't die. So if that was the plan here for the Hellborn side, they certainly can't do it anymore. Meanwhile, their own bans Bubbles, Slither, and Scout, so 2 suicides there, really, on top of the Slither, which is fairly often run as a solo short laner. So that's going to take away that option for them. Nomad coming out instead, and this could end up being a mid-Nomad and a man-up Pesty MG lane on top. Just because they know they're going to be running the jungler probably in the safe jungle, because Parasite usually means that a team will run the safe jungle. They don't want to go too aggressive and run into a Parasite and have to deal with the harass that Parasite can put out. Tempest is just not going to be very good at handling that. So if they can run a mid-Nomad, Pesty MG top, Parasite in the jungle, and then a short lane carry, that could work out quite well. I'm not as fond of the idea of running the Nomad short lane and then the Pesty NG mid, just because Nomad has the ability to get shut down. Going to be a Chronos here, though. So now a ton of ulti synergy on the Hellborn side. Of course, we've seen Chronos in that suicide role before, so it's possible he'll be run as a suicide Chronos. Suicide Chronos has seen some success, especially when paired up against a solo short laner. And as a melee solo short laner in that Nomad, he would do quite well. I seriously doubt Nomad could kill him with that time leap available. And Wanderer would allow some serious harass, but getting some rewinds going, and he could do quite a lot to mitigate that coming out. So we'll see if that's going to be a short lane Chronos or a suicide Chronos. I think it's pretty much, to be honest, they could still run Hag in any of the 3 lanes, but Chronos short or suicide. You're probably not going to run him mid, but we'll see. So they could pick up an initiator here, they could pick up a suicide, or they could pick up a short laner. Really, the choice is still theirs. They're definitely going to be getting a farming hero. It's obviously not going to be a support with Rhapsody still there, but there's plenty of options still left on the board for what they want to do. Certainly they're looking for some team fight. No. That's good, actually. I was going to say they're looking for team fight because they've already got so much of it. What I meant to say was that they don't have any gank potential, really, besides that Wretched Hag and a little bit of Chronos. So Gauntlet's going to provide quite a lot of that. And presumably it's going to be that Gauntlet middle lane with the Rhapsody, solo short, Chronos, and suicide Wretched Hag. Although, of course, Richard Hag could be run as the suicide. Actually, with Ownby readying up on Richard Hag, I suspect that's going to be a mid-Hag. So, in fact, we could see a man-up dual lane with Gauntlet Rhapsody, or they could be run in the short with Kronos and the suicide. I don't remember if RI played the suicide last game or not, but we'll see where he ends up. There's some pauses. Once again, I forget to do this. Every single time. It's like I'm stupid or something. Anyway, the last pick coming out here from Legion side is a Polywog Priest, and that was a little unexpected. This is certainly going to be a farming Poly, and Poly, of course, has plenty of ability to do well as a farmer. He's got so much lockdown and can be extremely annoying here to deal with all that CC. So pairing a Nomad and a Poly on the same team really does a lot, because Nomad doesn't really have any lockdown of his own, but he does a ton of damage if somebody else can provide a CC tool, and that's certainly what Polywog's going to do between the Morph and the Tongue Tide. Plus, of course, the Legion side has more or less zero push ability, so Polywards are going to add some of that and be awfully helpful. But they're still not really going to be able to contend with the Hellborns, Tempest, Rhapsody, Dance Floor, plus the Sonar Scream and Infernal Instability coming out from Gauntlet to push lanes and kill creeps. As we certainly have an engagement brewing up here. Gauntlet's, I think, looking for a hook, doesn't want Nomad, knows that Nomad can just grab that invis and skitter away if he gets hooked in, but Hellborn will place a ward down here, giving some vision of the rune as well as the top jungle. And they should have vision of that rune that just got placed. Whether they'll choose to counter it immediately or not is certainly the question. But it's going to basically prevent Tempest from coming in to gank from the side. And it looks like Owned Me is solo short on the Hag. So I wonder if this is just because of the, the player switch with losing Bray. They've decided to put Owned Me on that solo short Hag. But this certainly makes a heck of a lot more sense than the previous setup did. Rhapsody, I think, TBS Priceless, over here is looking to do something with camps. I believe blocking that camp so Parasite can't do anything here. Parasite running the man up as Tempest starts his jungle. It's possible Rap will help Tempest out a little bit here with some camp stacking, but he is headed to middle, and that's certainly where I expect him to end up. Going up with this Gauntlet against the Pestilence. Gonna harass Pesty out of lane a little bit there, so Pesty's gonna have a hell of a time until NG comes in, which is right now. And this is pretty much the lane we expected: Rhapsody Gauntlet versus Pesty Engineer. Over on bot, it is going to be the Suicide Kronos running against the solo Nomad, so Nomad going to put some harassment down onto Kronos here, but not enough to force him out of lane. And with that time leap, he's just never going to be in a position to die, I don't think. Should get pretty solid farm down here, and if he gets a little lucky, might even be able to grab a kill or two. With that Chronosphere, if he manages to harass Nomad down a little bit here, then eventually, when he hits 6, he can drop it on him. But he is being forced to eat some regen there. Of course, he does have substantially more than Nomad does, being pooled about a health pot there. Whereas Nomad's sitting on only trees. So Kronos can really afford to eat some damage here, and Nomad's got to be careful with his mana pool a little bit, because he can't do this forever with the harassment coming out, especially if he can take a bunch of tower damage. So Kronos should be in solid control of this lane here, as he does have lane control, and Nomad's harassing him down, but he has the regen to fight through that, and Nomad won't have the mana pool to keep this up indefinitely. At some point, Kronos is going to hit 6, and if Nomad's reasonably low, then the Chronosphere is going to get dropped and he's going to die. So a bunch of Tower Rats comes out on top of him. Up here in the top lane, we have a Suicide Polywog Priest, which is curious, up against a Wretched Hag. And you'll notice the Legion team doesn't have a traditional Suicide. That's why one might expect to see the man-up dual lane here with the Parasite in the jungle really running the aggressive pseudo-tri-lane. But instead it's going to be a Polywog solo short. With this ward here, he shouldn't be able to get ganked, and especially because Parasite's also in the jungle. Actually forced Tempest out by this time. So he should be relatively okay, but he could run into some problems, as on bottom Nomad 1 once again putting a ton of harass onto Kronos. And Kronos is going to have to take that health pot relatively quickly. Or relatively soon, I mean. Anyway, so Polywalk shouldn't be in too much danger here. Parasite looking for a pick, but probably won't find one considering he's level 2 and Poly's only level 4, which means he's got level 2 of that electric jolt, only 1 each in Hex and Tongue Tie, so not enough lockdown to kill Hag. Because they do really need to keep her locked down through the duration of her life, otherwise she'll just blink away. Over here, middle turret coming out. Raps is going to attack it, get some gold for it, but take quite a bit of damage in the process. So if there's going to be when their Bloodlust kill comes out, I expect it to be in this mid lane, of course, so we'll try to save put most of our focus here. Parasite coming in from the side. Hook gonna miss from Gauntlet. Keg gonna hit as well. Here comes the Impalement. Nope, Staccato's first. But Gauntlet's in a ton of trouble. Flight activated from Parasite. Here's the Impalement, and now Gauntlet's dead.
It only hurts the first time.
So, kill from Majestics there on Parasite. Nice gank. Coming in and putting in some harass onto Rhapsody. And eventually grabbing the kill onto Gauntlet, of course. A better target because he is the farmer. The Pesty comes back into lane. He does have a bottle, and he has an invisibility rune bottled up, so that could be a problem if things get if that gets used for either Gauntlet or Rhapsody, or potentially even both with a really good Impale Stun. Engineer is no longer in mid though, so Pesty does have to be a little bit careful. He was bot, I believe, just grabbing that refreshment rune to make sure that the Hellborn team couldn't snatch it up. Tempest choosing to move to the Legion jungle as Parasite has forced him out of his own jungle. So like we said, other junglers don't really appreciate a Parasite. They know that having a Parasite in their own woods can often be a problem, and as a result, Tempest will get forced out, so not a ridiculous thing or an unforeseeable event to happen there. Nomad continues to just put all sorts of harass out onto Kronos. Kronos has to be just a couple creep kills away from hitting 6. Nomad's winning this lane here with 27-4 compared to the 19-2 of Kronos, as the Legion's courier actually dies to Kindman, and he manages to pick something up. I think trees. In the middle, of course, Panny goes down and bot. Something interesting happened with Nomad and the LTP as the Skeleton King from Parasite catches him onto the Impel Stun and the Keg. Hook back into the tower, but not going to be nearly enough. Meanwhile, on bot, Combo Breaker onto Kronos, and he needs to run away before he takes anything. He's going to drop a Chronosphere, which was... okay. That was a terrible decision. Nomad was not going to catch him before his time leap was up. I understand that he was really playing that safe, but he put a massive ultimate on cooldown there. Nomad's ultimate way shorter, 45 seconds I believe, even at level 1. So he's going to have that up in 35. Kronos is going to be down from their 90. Meanwhile, in mid, Kindman goes down once again. Or actually, that's the first time for him. That's Tempest, excuse me, not Gauntlet. Rhapsody grabbing that haste rune, trying to prevent the gank onto Temp, but unable to do so. So we see a serial killer streak actually come out here for Majestics on that Parasite. He's responsible, or he has all 3 of his team's kills, with Pesty assisting on all 3, and Engineer on 2. Gauntlet gonna miss a hook there, as Pesty needs to play a little careful now that Engineer is not in this lane. Impel Stun is going to stop the Infernal Instability from coming out on top of him. And he's going to go top. There's no rune here. So, just working his way around the cliff, I guess. Trying to make the Hellborn side think that he has gone for the rune. But the refreshment rune up there was picked up long ago. So in this mid lane, 26-0 Pesty compared to a 24-5 Gauntlet. So actually pretty decent farm here from Gauntlet considering he's died twice. Doing a little better job of grabbing CS in this situation, and as a result, he's not that far behind. 216 GPM versus 288. With those 2 deaths, you'd expect him to be substantially below the Parasite, or the Pestilence, and he sort of is, but he's not, and Pestilence doesn't have an insurmountable lead. Where he does have a massive lead is a level 6-4. That's a pretty serious problem, as Pesty does have the bugs already and can put them out onto Gauntlet. Just in case she gets initiated on or wants to go for a gank, he does a lot more damage that way. Meanwhile, up top, Engineer's setting up on this Hag, but he might have been spotted by that courier. Hag's acting a little scared as she takes a health bot, so that could just be because she doesn't want to get knocked off, or it could be because she has to this engineer. Either way, Tempest going to hit by a keg stun, drops the turret as well, Glacial Blast onto engineer, he's going to take 2 stuns. Parasite coming in here looking for the flank on Tempest, but not going to find it. Meanwhile, Rhapsody has escorted Tempest out of the jungle. Gauntlet coming back to mid lane after he went to the jungle a little bit to see if he needed to assist his buddy at Tempest, and he does manage to grab that double damage rune. Up top. On bottom, Nomad gonna grab it. Oh, there's Tempest. Falling to Parasite once again as the keg hits, and there's the death. Glacial Blast's not nearly enough in that situation, as they do find Tempest. Of course, they have a ward up here, so they have plenty of vision of the Hellborn side. And the Legion is taking a pretty good lead here in the middle, or in the early game. 4-0 on the hero kills, 1,700 gold, 1,100 experience. Certainly not bad for them. A nice start here as they look to win this series. Up top, 222 GPM, 33-3 on Polywog Priest compared to 291, 44-17 of Hag. So at least one lane that the Hellborn is winning. They are doing better up here. But of course, Hag actually decided to pour it out. Go mid, wards will get dropped, and this tower is going to get really badly hurt. It might even die. Tempest's going to come over here, try to do some defense. And if Poly's willing to tank this a bit for his wards, he will be able to kill it. Yep, this is going to be a dead tower, especially as Parasite comes in. In middle, meanwhile, Keg on stun, going to prevent the Infernal ability. HoN onto Specialist, though, going to kill him with a Bat Blast. It also hits Engineer, and he's going to be dead as the Sun Scream comes out. So, Owen picking up a double tap as the top tower falls. And a nice gank there from Richard Hag, porting back to base, running back middle, in order to do something about this Pestilence and Engineer combo that has, won mid fairly well for the Legion side. Meanwhile, I bought 52 and 5, so a very impressive creep score there for Nomad. He's at 303 gold per minute. Chronos, on the other hand, at 32 and 3, 220. Kindman picks up a kill onto Parasite as the ultimate went off, but able to grab the last hit before Chronos jumped in. So speaking of that, Chronos 220 gold per minute, 32 and 3 compared to this Nomad who's now 57 and 5. So obviously much better farm here from Nomad. He's gotten mostly a free lane. In middle, Pesty gonna run away. The Haunt is applied, and the Time Leap actually coming in. Bugs onto Chronos, so he's gonna take some damage. Gauntlet Hook hitting nothing, not sure what that was about. And Chronos needs to be a little careful. He does not have a Time Leap, he doesn't have a Chronosphere. Nomad looking to push bot tower in a little bit, it looks like. He won't quite be able to get it, but it is below half, so if Poly is able to come in here with his wards, he should be able to clean it up pretty easily. But they're more interested in pushing mid tower. Poly wards are up in 10 seconds. So this could be a tower kill here if somebody's willing to tank it for a bit, because the Poly wards are not super great at doing that. And they do have a ballista right now. Hellborn team, though, not interested in just giving this up for free. Hook gonna come out on nobody, as they have 4 heroes gathered here. Obviously no Tempest ultimate, no Bat Blast for 30 seconds. Rashi does have her ult, so that'll be useful to possibly save somebody, but the Legion side is backing up a little bit. They only have 3. They don't see Tempest at this point, or they didn't, but Tempest will actually peace out. As does Hag. Gonna head bottom and pick up a kill on Nighty on that Nomad, who's just way too low. Soda Scream's enough. Just, can't be doing that. So, bit of a poor play, I think, coming out there from Nomad. Really did not need to take that death. I understand, he's just like, I've got free farm, I'm gonna stay here for as long as I possibly can. But certainly ended up being the wrong decision. Or it's not going to get dropped here, of course, the free wave not quite strong enough. Parasite is coming in from the side, along with NG and Polywog. And Pesty's hanging up top, I believe has a regen rune activated. No, it's just at flight. Hard to tell sometimes. as the Legion side cleans up this wave after wave after wave, but Hellborn is pushing it back, making sure they don't finish anything off. Kronos is here, sitting on the side. He does now have a Chrono Field. Tag's Bat Blast is also up, but of course she's bought. Tempest Ultimate up in 45 seconds, so that's not going to be here anytime soon, but Legion looks like they're backing off, not interested in pushing this any longer. They see it's kind of futile, so might as well leave it alone and look to push a different tower. Possibly even bot. They could be able to get this with without Polywards even. Some strong pushing from Nomad. So it looks like they might do exactly that, as Nomad is clearing out the creep wave with a little more expediency than one might initially imagine is appropriate. But this wave's going to come in right under the tower, and they may not be able to get anything out of it. On the other hand, the next wave is a Ballista wave, so that should be, maybe not tower death, but close to it. On the other hand, 3 heroes here at the Hellborn Ancients, killing, I believe, a triple stack? Yes, that was definitely triple stack. So they're going to get some farm there. Mid tower is going to get taken down thanks to the cannon that Parasite's in. It may get denied. Impale onto Tempest. He's going to eat the bugs and a death thanks to the Leech. Mid tower is actually going to die, not get denied thanks to that Ballista. And bottom does as well with Nomad pushing in with the Ballista. So Legion taking out their second and third towers really here. Getting a pick onto Tempest, making sure that Tempest ultimate can't come out. It was up. And the experience lead is in favor of the Hellborn side, as I believe Legion has spent a little more time grouping up and pushing, but they are rewarded for that, of course, with the 4K gold lead and 3 dead towers. Trying to make up a little bit for their little lack of push here by doing some pushing. Impale stun on a Kronos, followed by the Hex and the Send from the Ministar. Plenty of damage there coming out from Nomad at the end to get the kill onto Kronos before he could time leap away. So, worth noting, Polywards are still up. They have not been used in a while, of course, now he has mana for them. But, once again, just never a substantial enough creep wave to justify dropping them on a tower. And I think he's a little concerned that if he drops them on a tower, then a team fight will ensue, and he will not be able to use them offensively on the other team. Certainly a valid concern, whether you use them in a team fight, whether you use them to take it down a tower. It's a very valuable spell, and you don't want to waste it, so being careful is obviously a very good idea. Top tower's going to get pushed in by the creeps a little bit here, as Parasite comes in to deal with that. Won't take long for him at all. Nomad is free from the bottom lane once again, this time at plenty of health, so Hag Sono Scream won't immediately drop him like he did last time. In middle, though, Pestilence going to get hooked in, take the Gauntlet Blast and the Infernal Instability and die. So, a good hook from Panny. He's had in some difficulty landing those, as now we're going to see the Hellborn push. Dance Floor gets dropped on top of the Tempest minions. This is going to be a dead tower here, even with the Cliff of Fortification. There's pretty much no question that this thing's going down. Panny going to take a lot of damage from this tower. I think he tried to get out of range and thought he was, but not quite. They're going to port bottom, trying to prevent Nomad from doing too much damage to that secondary tower, as Hag comes in here, puts the Sono Scream down, gets a few creep kills, and Nomad will himself leave and go defend middle. So Hellborn finally taking the tower there. It's 16 minutes. They have Tempest and Rhapsody, and that's the first tower kill they've had, so you can sort of tell they were behind the laning phase. They didn't do very well in mid, getting a couple of deaths onto that Gauntlet, and then of course Tempest taking a couple of deaths himself. Bot lane was certainly won by Nomad. Top lane was won by Hag, but when you lose 2 out of 3 lanes and you have a Parasite that's doing well compared to a Tempest that's not really doing too well, of course still at 250 gold per minute, not even close to where you'd normally see a Tempest at this point. Usually they're up in the 350, 380 range, as Nomad gets pulled in by double damage Gauntlet, but just going to Sandstorm away. He did use the ultimate. I believe Gauntlet took the damage from it, but not enough with the W after that to go after him and grab a kill. That's of course the danger of initiating a Nomad, as the Gauntlet's looking for a hook here on Poly and won't take it. But Sono Scream and Infernal Instability clean everything up. So the difficulty of initiating Nomad, of course, is if he gets that edge counter off, that's what it's called, then he turns it around with the W. he can certainly get a kill. Actually, attack W, not the Mirage Strike. What is it? True Strike. So, and meanwhile on bot, HoN gonna get picked off here in the lane. Jeez, just gets wrecked. So she had a blink up, just not able to react in time because that Assassin's Shroud Nomad does so much damage so damn quickly. Icon of the Goddess here on Polywog Priest. Bit of an interesting pickup. I wouldn't normally have assumed that. I think generally a solid item, especially for heavy mana int users, or heavy mana users. There's a sentence that sounds a little more sane. So Polyfert certainly fits that description. I can understand why you want one. Whether he's going to be enough ganks, and even if Legion is going to get enough kills for that to matter, not sure. I think maybe I would have gone for a little more utility there. Push book Storm Spirit, something that can interrupt the Tempest ultimate. Maybe even an early Portal Key to do the same and be a better initiator, really. Right now, he's going to have some issues getting into fights, of course, because he's still poly. He's relatively squishy. 1,500 health is a lot for a poly that is as a result of that icon, but he still will go down relatively quickly thanks to low armor and stuff. Only 3.8 armor, 5.5 magic armor as typical. So auto attacks will do a lot to him. I think I really would prefer the Portal Key in this situation. Putting a Portal Key on Pestilence and Polywog, plus the Parasite coming in for a burst, once those two have initiated, that would have been a lot of deaths on the Hellborn side, and then pick up the Icon of the Goddess after you've got the PK. It's possible he'll just go straight for a PK here. He already has, 1150 gold saved up. He only needs 1,000 more in order to grab that Portal Key. Nomad coming in here with the Assassin's Shroud. Gonna be a Hex. Nope. Before the blink goes off, Hex onto Hag, and she's dead. So Nomad running around for a while before realizing that, oh, they got the Hex off onto her before she blinked. So that's gonna be a dead Panny. Or Owen B, excuse me. Panny didn't die. He's still alive. Sorry, Panny. So 350 GPM on Poly as he picks up that kill, and now 1,500 gold. As it looks like he'll get the PK anyway. Now the PK Icon of the Goddess combination, I can certainly, that makes a ton of sense. As you'll be pulling off a lot of ganks, going to be able to stack those charges up. Voodoo Wards dropped on bottom as they finally have a creep wave substantial enough to do something with. As of course our level 2 Voodoo Wards, so that's going to be a dead tower here. And a dead creep wave. Probably has enough for that Portal Key, so I would like it if you would pick one up. It's possible. Yep, there it is. Speaking of other items, PK on Pesty on top of Mighty Blade's Steam Boots, so I assume the Shrunken Head's going to be his next item. Assassin's Shroud coming in from Nomad, but obviously he's going to get seen by the tower. Not really sure what the point of that was. Gauntlet going to use a new Portal Key, going to hook in Engineer. Chronosphere comes on top of the Impalement Stone. That's going to be dead Engie. There's a good Tempest ultimate actually immediately stopped by the face hug, but Nighty on Nomad dies really quickly, as does Pestilence. Parasite jumping into a creep, trying to escape, has a Dust of Revelation come out, and that's going to give him tons of vision, so now he's in a ton of trouble. He is awfully fast with that Leech and the Ghost Marchers, but I think there's too much chase here on the Hellborn side. There's Hag once again, and a HonTour screaming he's dead. So Hellborn picking off 4 for 1, losing Gauntlet only, and getting everybody in the Legion side except for Polywog Priest, who was all the way down here in the jungle, really unable to do anything, no mana, no positioning. So nice counter initiation there, certainly. Tempest Ultimate was immediately cancelled, didn't do too much, but Parasite was sort of forced to use his face hug onto Tempest, and that mitigates some damage from coming out on other people who are relatively low, like Chronos or something like that.
A Legion tower.
A lot of response up here as the Impaled's going to come out onto Tempest on top of the bugs and the Morph, so he's dead. Staccato stuns onto Engineer, so he can't chase, but not be nearly enough there. Rap's going to try to pour it out, and is going to be successful. Impalement stun just a second too late. So, Rap and Hag will both get the hell out of there. As Kind Man falls, he is a sacrifice. Anyway, Legion side, Power Supply, Steam Boots on Engineer, so pretty typical support items there. Nomad has a Shield Breaker on top of his Assassin's Shroud, so he's going to be extremely deadly. Invisible coming in, and will kill you awful quick. Parasite has a Codex plus a Blood Chalice. That Codex is still level 1, so we'll see if he continues to level that up. They do see Nomad here thanks to a Rev Ward. He does get an ult off onto 2. Illusion's going to be dropped by Gauntlet, so that'll chase the Leap inside off. And finally over here we talked about Poly extensively, Amulet of Exile, Portal Key, Steam Boots, and Icon of the Goddess. So pretty nice items there for Poly, 382 gold per minute. On the Hellborn side, Ghost Marcher's Ring of Sorcery, and most of a Shrunken Head completed by Tempest. He has the Warhammer along with the Mighty Blade, just looking at the recipe now, 400 gold until he's got that. Gauntlet picks up the Ghost Marchers on top of the Portal Key, Mystic Vestments, Power Supply, and Ball, so plenty of regen, lots of initiation potential and speed with the Ghost Marchers and Peaky. Hag has just finished her Grimoire on top of Steam Boots, Bottle, and Mana Battery, and Grave Locket, so good stats. She's still a little squishy at 1176 health, so she'd die relatively easy to a gank from the Legion side, but she will be able to farm extremely well now that she has that Grimoire finished relatively quick. 23 minutes, not bad. Not great, but not bad. 388 GPM. Rhapsody, Strider, so not choosing to go upgraded boots, instead focusing more on wards. Dust of Revelation, she has a bound eye, so they're really concerned about that Nomad. The extra ward vision that she gets is awful nice, but I think that's mostly for spotting out Nomad, making sure he can't run away, because he's got now 3 separate invisibility abilities. And he can just basically stay invis for the entire duration of their cooldowns. And finally, Kronos, we have a Logger's Hatchet. Of course, gotta get those creeps, Steam Boots, Energizer, Mana Battery, and Iron Shield. So he's got 2200 gold saved up. Not sure what he's looking for. Possibly an early Shrunken as well. With all the CC and magic damage coming out from the Legion side, Engineer Field, everything from Poly, everything from Parasite, it certainly makes sense for them to want to get as many Shrunkens as quickly as possible. And I expect that's going to be Hag's next item. So, things still slightly in favor of the Legion side here. The experience lead is just about even, 3,300 gold for them, so it's gone down a little bit since it first started. But the Legion's interested in cleaning up a Hellborn tower here in middle, and the Poly wards are down. They'll do a lot, of course, to kill this, and this should end up being a dead tower. Hook going to come in, Peaky onto Poly. I don't think that was actually going to be a kill, or a hit hook anyway, but this mid tower is dead. Will be denied by Kindman. Excellent coming in there. Nomad coming in from the side, looking for a gank, or kill, really. Not going to find one as everybody at Hellborn is too good at backing up. Hastrud onto Gauntlet. Baits out the edge counter there, and will grab Nomad. Kronos Field coming out, going to hit both Tempest and, Pestilence and Kronos. Everything. As Backlash hits the 2 inside the Engineer Ultimate, and 2 heroes dead on the Legion side, both Pestilence and Nomad. Kindman just going to fall, but so does Polywild Priest. Engineer going to try to pour it out, and will be successful. Nope, Time Lock coming out, and he's going to die as well. Staccato Stone's going to help him. Parasite will be able to pour it out, as there is nothing there to stop him, but pretty easy wipe here for the Hellborn side. Once again, the Tempest Ultimate canceled relatively quickly, but, he sort of did his job in that sense, focusing fire on him, and he was the only one that ended up dying, as the Hellborn side takes 4 this time. Only Parasite left alive. And they're going to turn this into a Convoy kill. No vision around here for the Legion side, so even when they res, they won't be able to see it coming. And they should be able to get this. Legion side is going to be respawning in the next few seconds, but they're not going to know that Convoy's going on. Hellborn has plenty of vision to see if they start coming in, and of course it would take them a while to get over there anyway. It's not going down especially fast, but they really have the ability to do a slower Convoy. Pestilence just going to hang out here in mid, clean up these creeps, so they may or may not know Convoy is going on, or they may not think Convoy is going on, but it isn't going on anymore because down there goes the monkey. Meanwhile, I'm going to triple stack these Ancients and get some farm up on them. It looks like Kronos is going to be the one that finishes them off. He has 3,800 gold saved up, so I have to assume now that that's going to be that first item, Shrunken Head, which I don't hate that at all. I think that's a very solid choice. Hag's going to choose to stack him, so Kronos is just sitting there for no reason. Obviously, if it was going to be an Elder Parasite or something like that, then we would have seen that already. And yes, Kronos can't take these by himself, so I'm not really sure what Ari's doing over here. But it is something. Portal-Key also picked up onto Parasite, so that's 3 heroes on the Legion side that have Portal Keys. Presumably, eventually, Engineer will get one. It could be a ways off, of course, as he had 155 gold per minute, and he's a solo warder for his team, so it's not like somebody else can take the warding duties for a while. Pestilence Impale going to come in on top of the Morph and the KAG. That's an easy kill on the Gauntlet, dies in a matter of seconds. Nomad going to jump in onto this Tempest, takes the combo breaker instead of Glacial Splats, but the Chronosphere is going to come out and kill him relatively easily. 2 heroes outside trapped for the Hellborn as Ban the Black Blast just annihilates everything, both Engineer and Pesty dying relatively quickly.
Destroyed a Legion tower.
Pestilence is going to, sorry, Parasite's going to run away, and Polywog's all the way back at base already, having ported out. Mine's going to get something onto Gauntlet, but they're going to find this Parasite. Nope, there's a Portal Key. So they're going to look to push this mid lane, I think, or maybe even top, as the creep wave is a little closer to the top. So it looks like these two guys are going to come in, try to push top a bit, and Kronos appears to be joining them, as does the rest of the Hellborn side. And this should be a dead top tower. We have 15 seconds on Pestilence, 20 seconds on Nomad, so too much time really to prevent this top tower from falling. Kronos does pick up that Shrunken Head, not a big surprise. And it looks like Hellborn will be mostly getting out of here. Hag interested in finishing off this creep wave, and she will be fine, of course. She does have to be a little more careful than she normally would, considering that both Pesty and Polymorph Priest have Portal Keys. Why is everything a P in this game? Pestilence, Parasite, Polymorph Priest, Portal Key. Damn it. Extremely annoying. Over here, meanwhile, Engineer's screwed. Just absolutely screwed. There's 4 Legion heroes here. I'm actually going to catch Parasite as well, and Poly. Parasite going to drop this combo onto Gauntlet. Not going to be enough. Tempest Ultimate hits absolutely nothing, as Polywog was already well gone. She's going to put the port out, and going to see if there's Glacial Blast in time. No, there are not. Shrunken Head from Tempest is used, so that's a bit unfortunate. As apparently Skype, what the fuck? They are going to see Nomad here now, thanks to this Bound Die combo breaker onto Rhapsody. Now she's dead. Kronos jumps in, but right on top of the Impale, and he's going to take that Chronofield and Nomad, and this is going to be dead Nomad. But Hag's going to be in a little trouble. Actually, he runs right into the Chronofield, steals the Bound Die, or I believe he killed it actually. Drops the Logger's Hatchet for no reason. Token and bringing Hag right back up, but Pesty, good idea to get it off. Portal Key away, and he'll be fine. Time Leap? Yeah, but I don't think he's going to chase. So I believe they just killed the Bound Die instead of actually picking it up. Pesty dropped his Logger's Hatchet like he was interested in grabbing it, but eventually, of course, did not. It's probably a decent decision. There's no Invis on the Hellborn team, and you'd really rather get rid of that than anything else, because it is such a burden to Nomad to know that, you know, that eye's floating around there somewhere, and he has to be really careful about it. They could have used that for counter warding, of course, on the Legion, but probably not worth the risk that it gets stolen back, and better to force Hellborn to buy another one with their 700 gold. It's really difficult to counter 700 gold worth of wards. It's much easier to just kill the eye and watch them fail to detect Invis or be forced to buy another one. Kronos now back up to 3,400 gold. He is farming extremely well at 375 GPM. So very nice recovery from a bit of an early slow start. He's actually right there with Nomad, who was against him in lane and is the top farmer on the team for Legion. But 515 GPM for Hag, as you can see, quite a ways ahead of everybody, and that's basically what happens when she gets a Grimoire, is she just gets that much better at farming, and she's already pretty decent at it, so she just becomes a GPM machine. Kronos and Nomad right behind her, Polywog and Tempest more or less tied, as are Pestilence and Gauntlet, and Rhapsody and Parasite. So that's sort of the problem is, there's really a lot of ties over here between Legion and Hellborn. The difference is, the place where they're not tied is at 515 gold per minute Hag versus a 140 GPM Engineer. And that's a fairly big difference. Obviously, you know, Rhapsody and Parasite aren't the same hero, so their gold is going to be spent in different ways, but in terms of pure form, they're relatively similar. Bottom, they're going to jump this Parasite. He's also calling out on the Gauntlet, preventing the hook coming in, but That's not going to be enough really to kill him, I don't think. Except for there's the Gore proc. Nice Rhapsody ultimate preventing a lot of damage as that forces the focus onto Rap, and everybody's going to be able to run away. So Parasite just barely does survive, as does Gauntlet. And Shrunken Head was popped, of course, onto Parasite, so that's going to be one more cooldown used for that. As Legion is still up by 1 tower, but I would imagine they'd like to be up by more. Like I said earlier, though, there's really just isn't a ton of push potential here for them. It mainly comes out of that Polywog and his wards, so if those wards are up, they pretty much need to be taking towers, because it's hard for them to do it any other way. Of course, on the Hellborn side, they have Tempest Elementals and Rhapsody the Dance Floor, plus the Sonar Scream from Hag to help clean creep waves, and the Infernal Instability for that matter, so pushing for them isn't nearly as big a problem as it is for Legion side. Bound Eye once again on Rhapsody, so they've rebought that. Definitely a good decision. They need it. I mean, really, they cannot run this game without a Bound Eye. Just Nomad is a huge problem if you don't have one. Constantly invis, man. He's got 3 separate invisibilities with that Assassin's Shroud, and it's just never-ending annoyance. Keeper Priceless will pick up Panya's Logger's Hatchet, because that doesn't do anything. So, hey, might as well just run around it with your inventory if you want for a while. Whatever. It looks like he's going to come up here, scout out for anybody. He is invisible, of course, so not particularly concerned about anybody seeing him. And there aren't any red wards. Meanwhile, in the middle, Engineer Phil gets dropped onto, I believe that's Gauntlet. Oh, no, that's Cronus, excuse me. I can't even tell who's there. So he's going to throw the Chronosphere down, actually, and run away. He will get picked off by Nomad, though, as he is... That was a pretty nice positioning there from Nomad. And it looks like Legion's going to push up the gut here. Pesty's headed top for the rune. That is a regen, so actually a pretty nice get for them. And I expect to see some base tower pushing here. Hellborn are doing a similar thing. Dance Floor goes down. Boy, all those wards are getting targeted by the tower for some reason. But there's a bunch of damage onto him, but actually Rhapsody Ultimate going to come out, prevent Gauntlet from taking any more. Hook back in onto Nomad. He does have an ult, I believe, but it just got Storm Spirited. He just used it and they got Storm Spirit. Well done. Meanwhile on bot, Hag managed to pick off Pestilence, so well done for him as Hellborn holds off this mid-tower or mid-push. They lose a tower, but they also get one on bot. Wretched Hag is going to fall, but he manages to get the kill onto Parasite just before he dies to Bullywug's Electric Jolt. In middle, Kind Man gets the pick off onto Engineer. Not that hard. Hook coming in. And there's a Glacial Blast. So, NG falling relatively quickly. So some tower trading there by both teams. Hack actually buys out. So, whether that was the best decision or not, I don't know. Usually, it's about keeping up your GPM, because that, 60 seconds or whatever that you're dead is that time you're not farming. And that's a pretty significant gold loss if you're farming at 550 gold per minute, which is actually obviously farming higher than that, because that's his average GPM, so for the last few minutes he's probably been farming in the 700 to 800 GPM range. So, a minute of not farming there is obviously a big problem, as they're just going to come in and push this top tower. Impalement Sun comes up onto Wretched Hag, along with the Bogs and the Electric Jolt, but she's just going to eat that, clean up the creep wave a little bit with the Sonar Scream, and Portal Key coming in, and with Glacial Blast onto Polywug, Storm Spirit onto him to do some help out, actually. Shrunken Head and the ultimate coming out from Tempest. That's going to be a dead Poly with the Bat Blast. Shrunken Head onto Parasite, or Petulance though, so he won't be taking any damage there. He does eventually follow the auto attacks. Nomad finally coming in. He's starting to wreck some phase as Tempest falls. Chronosphere though coming out, going to prevent him from doing a bunch of damage and lock him down a lot. There goes the ultimate. Is going to kill nothing actually as he falls himself. Only on that Wretched Hag does fall, but Rhapsody Ultimate doing some damage to actually prevent Gauntlet from getting hit by a lot. Polywog War is going to come out, tongue-tied onto this Kronos, but he's just hanging out. Morph as well, and there's a bunch of damage here from all of these sources, but he doesn't even care. Grapple is going to help him get out of there. Energizer gets popped so he can run away. But there's a Storm Spirit from, I believe, Gauntlet there, trying to save him a little bit longer as he manages to time leap away. Face hug onto him on top of the Portal Key. He's going to take the fort, but there's the Morph and the Keg, and now he's dead as Nomad comes in with the cleanup. So, a bunch of saves there attempting to be used by the Hellborn team to get Kronos out of there, but not quite enough, as Legion has just a little bit more chase and lockdown, of course. Multiple stuns, all the Polywog CC, and the portal keys everywhere, really. Allow them to do a ton. So they're going to clean up this mid-creep wave. Poly wards aren't up from their 40 seconds. So if she wants to be able to do something here, jump in by Tempest, and that's going to be no much damage onto an Engineer. Actually, he's going to fall. There is an ult, but doesn't even matter. Parasite can take the Infernal Instability and die. He does get the face hog off onto Gauntlet, but that's going to be nearly enough. He will tongue-tied onto Kronos, but it's going to be his death. Just enough to allow Nomad to get away, but there's Desolation coming out on him, actually. And if Tempest manages to get into range, then he might be able to get it. Nope, he won't. With Nomad ultimate down, he wasn't particularly concerned. But Nomad just a little bit too fast. At this point, Nomad needs some health. He's got 1385 health, and that's basically what happens when you go the Shield Breaker Assassin Shroud build. You have a ton of damage, but you're an absolute glass cannon. Boy, ODB is just hankering for this top lane. Keeps coming back and pushing it out. I don't think he used a buyback there. No, he still has one left.
The Hellborn have destroyed a
Meanwhile,
Legion
mid
tower.
tower goes down, but they're just going to siege these racks. Pessy's going to come in with the Impel Stun in a second, as it's going to hit to both Rhapsody and Wretched Hag. Chrono Field goes down, as the wards do, but the Rhapsody ult prevents pretty much any damage. Engineer Field going to come down as well, as Nighty falls, but so does Wretched Hag once more. They do get the melee racks. Chrono has the Shrunken Head, and he's going to pick off... No, he's not going to pick off Polywog Priest. Terrible time for that Shrunken Head to be wearing off, as he just managed to get the Morph off, and Polywog will live, so Hellborn gets the bot rocks, but they lose 2 heroes there in the process. Probably a worthwhile trade, especially since they also got Nighty on that Nomad. So, owned me there on that Wretched Hag is just... He wants them racks, man. Don't even want to push. Just jump in the base and hit the racks. Even Kronos had a similar idea. Put the Chrono Field down, and he just all he did was go straight after the racks. So Poly has continued to use the wards in fights, and as a result, again, not up for 35 seconds or so at this point, which is going to be enough time for everybody on the Hellborn team to respawn. So before he can even get those down, the whole Hellborn team will be up and ready to defend. Refresher picked up on Tempest. So he's going to have double ult now. He'll get cancelled by somebody probably between the Parasite and the Polywog Priest, both having portal keys. Somebody's going to take his ultimate off. The question is, will they take it off twice? As Gauntlet jumps in here looking for a hook, possibly on the Engineer, is going to get it. Nope. Parasite into Ballista. Just scouting out, having some fun. Reverse instability will go down, get some damage on the creep wave. Sonostream cleans up most of it. Kongor is back alive, and Gauntlet ports right into the pit, but he'll instead bottle up this refreshment rune. And the Legion do have a ward here, so of course you know he's coming into the jungle. Engineer making sure that he does not get hurt. Or caught and dead. Rhapsody will find this ward here. There it is. But, going to take a Polymorph on top of the wards, will not trap him actually. And the hook comes out anyway, so he wouldn't have been trapped. Kong were going to be attempted here, so that was a terrible use of the wards right there. Just to catch a solo Rhapsody, not even close to worth it, especially when you know Gauntlet was nearby just a few minutes ago, and now that's going to be a serious problem. Impalement comes in, but Rhapsody ultimate comes out, forces a focus onto her. I think she actually has a Shrunken Head, that's amazing. Combo breaker from Nomad, but he's still at low health. Engineer Field going down here, but the Tempest ultimate will actually take down Engie and Pestilence as Nighty falls in the background. Second Tempest ultimate going to be immediately cancelled, I think. They're going to chase past these wards here. Now Tempest is in a ton of trouble, so I'm not sure what he was doing there. Meanwhile, Polywog Priest gets picked up there by Wretched Hag and Gauntlet. So strong fight there back from the Hellborn side. That's going to allow them to finish Kongor. And should be a token. Oh, actually, Majestix picks off Kronos. But the Hag goes to Token, or Token gets the Hag, and wow, Token gets the Hag.
Give up already.
Hag gets the Token, and then picks up the Parasite, of course, with the multitude of nukes. So, gonna be another push in here from Hag, as she's sitting on a ton of stuff. Demonic Breastplate, Ultimate Orb. could be a Frostwolf Skull, could be a Sheepstick, could be a Nullstone. Actually, that wouldn't be the most bad. Well, with Parasite Bugs, maybe that's not the best idea, but there's a lot of single target stuff here. Everything from Poly, as the Impale Stun comes in on her, plus the Bugs, but that, of course, it's not going to be nearly enough to get her to even back off. And it's going to be a Frostwolf Skull, so I don't know. I mean, literally everything Poly has, all of Parasite's stuff, Nomad's attacks, bunch of Nullstones there, so, or single target attacks there, so Nullstone could be pretty useful. Although I think it's literally been months since I've seen a Nullstone in a competitive game. And once again, of course, Legion has to deal with this lane constantly pushing in as they have lost their Drax on top. And Own to be still sitting at 550 gold per minute, so not really increasing her farm. It's a little hard to do that once you're up there, as Hag isn't necessarily like a built-in flash farmer like, say, Moon Queen is, but still not bad. Quite good, in fact. And she is sitting on those Steam Boots Bottle, Demonic Breastplate, and Frostwolf Skull as she takes these Ancients here. Not going to be able to stack. I don't think. Yeah, not in time. So she's quite built, and with that token, she'll be a serious damage dealer. Will be able to sit in the front lines and do a lot. Not worried about death too much, as Hellborn looks to push in this bot lane. Kronos, to his credit, looking for a wing bow, I believe, has that, but actually Kronos build is going to catch Nomad there, but he's going to take the Morph on top of the Polywog wards, going off on top of Gauntlet, so he's going to get caught by the Tongue Titan wards. Kindman's going to die in that Tempest very quickly, so is Kronos. Not going to be quite, actually, it's the Rhapsody ultimate goes off and saves him, as it does for the Hag, and she's just cleaning up at this point. So Hag is just basically wrecking everything. And she's trying to survive here, but no, yeah, nothing.
Give up already.
Legion barracks has been destroyed.
So Onmi didn't even lose a token there, as they didn't catch him out. They were sort of concerned or disoriented as to which target they wanted to focus, with Poly really focusing down that Gauntlet, and most everybody else going after Kronos. As a result, you know, actually Gauntlet did die, but Kronos didn't. Got real low, but didn't die. Thanks to a very good Rhapsody ultimate in the background. And, you know, that's some teamwork stuff, really, that you gotta make sure that everybody's focusing one guy, and then you focus the next guy, and then you focus the next guy, so that you're not half-killing people and then allowing them to live and come back and do some damage. So Pesty is back up here. I believe he used to buy out.
The Hellborn have destroyed a
But
Legion tower.
there goes the bot tower, and here goes the bot racks as Hellborn, or Legion, as the Impale Stun actually comes in onto Kronos, followed by the Shrunken Head, but they don't really care. Parasite's got some stuff, but the blink goes out before Leech hits, which I think it did. Impalement Stun gonna hit Kronos once more, and he pops the Energizer, face hug onto Kronos as well, but there's a Shrunken Head, and now Pesty's dead. Parasite gonna take over a Hell Cannon, but not gonna be enough. Well, it will be enough to get him out of there, but not too much more. Morph onto Kronos. Wards dropped once again. Sorry, that was Hag, as the wards dropped once again. Looking for something, but he's going to put the Chrono Field down. That's going to prevent all of Polywog's stuff. Russian Hag still looking for a getaway. Grapple going to come in, help her get out. Morph onto Gauntlet, though, and now he's in some trouble. Leech is there. Tongue tied on top of it, and the Gauntlet is completely screwed. Worth it, I think, to get Owned Me out of there. I'm not sure if he would have died anyway, but not having to take the chance was probably a good decision. As bot racks did go down, and sort of here we see the weakness of Polywog Priest is he drops the wards there, but then the fight moves over here, and all of a sudden, oh, we don't care about the Polywog Priest wards anymore. That ultimate doesn't even matter because it's sitting right there in the base. So, I mean, certainly a useful ult, has plenty of versatility, team fights, pushes, that sort of stuff, but if in that team fight everybody runs away from the wards, then it doesn't work so well. So Hellborn making sure that they're defending this mid, as it looks like Legion is a little interested in pushing it. Once again, though, without poly wards, I don't think they can. Like, it's just not possible, really, for them to push with any effectiveness. Nomad does hit really hard, and that's great, but he's also squishy as all hell, 1,537 health, and he doesn't have a Shrunken, so he will get locked down by stuns, and he'll take a bunch of magic damage from that sort of stuff. Parasite looking for the bot rune here, but won't find it. Instead, it's Tempest that's going to pick it up as he jumps in here before actually it ends, and they're looking to get Parasite here, but he's just fast enough in that L cannon. Of course, no Glacial Blast available because those aren't magic immune. Instead, it looks like the Hellborn team is going to push down middle. Gauntlet not up for another couple of seconds, and Nomad is screwing the edge here with his Assassin's Shroud, trying to make sure he doesn't get picked off. Poly now does have a Restoration Stone, so he'll be able to drop double wards. Jump actually on a Nomad as they saw him with the Invis Tempest, and he's going to go down thanks to Gauntlet Blast. Over here, Parasite taking the face hug, gonna pop a Strong Head, gonna be able to jump around in the energy field, and drop the Chronosphere, gonna kill this Engineer. I believe that was Tempest taking a Codex, but the second ultimate comes out here, does a ton until he eventually actually just dies. But Engineer also pays for it. Kronos in a ton of trouble with the Gorpox coming out. Nice Rhapsody ultimate once again, preventing everything, trying to get him out of there, and it does as Specialist falls. Polywog Priest in a ton of trouble, puts a Storm Spirit up, but that's not going to be enough to save him. Skydive Sun's come out, and Polywog is dead. Parasite in a ton of trouble too. Bat Blast on top of him. He has the Infest, won't matter as Majestic dies, and that's going to be the game. So, excellent fight there at the end. A bit of a good comeback here from TKAG. They did not really win the laning phase, and they were certainly getting out-farmed and out-killed, but once they got that Grimoire up onto Onabi, took a couple of Concord kills, all of a sudden they were winning team fights all over the place, and they really took control of that game. I think, you know, a lot of it came down to Legion did what they could to push early, and that was fine when TKAG wasn't willing to respond to it, but once they started getting some resistance on their pushes, they couldn't do anything about it. Poly started dropping wards in team fights, which is perfectly fine, but that means that they weren't available for pushes, and that's a big problem when a team as constructed like the help the Legion side is, and they just don't have a lot of push potential. So, nice play here from Team Kage, and we'll move on to Game 3 as the series is now tied.